Mr. Chair, I rise to commemorate the 42nd anniversary of the signing of Title IX Amendment to the Higher Education Act. As you know, Hawaii's own Congresswoman, Patsy Mink, authored this groundbreaking law, and it was later renamed the Patsy Mink Equal Opportunity in Education Act. Congresswoman Mink was a true pioneer, advancing the legal status of women and girls in higher education. This law was the spark that ignited the fire of a larger cultural revolution, yes, a revolution, regarding the status of women. While Title IX is most famous for opening up opportunities for women in college athletics, it has had really a greater implication for women in higher education. This essential law banned colleges from preventing female students from enrolling in courses that were perceived to be male-oriented, such as auto mechanics, criminal justice, just to name a few. Title IX also banned male-dominated professional schools like medical and law schools from limiting the number of women allowed to be admitted. Patsy Mink, a former attorney herself, was committed to ensuring that women following in her path, like myself, would not have to face the same battles she did. And for that, we are all grateful to her. Mrs. Mink once said that we have to build things we want to see accomplished in life and in our country based on our own personal experiences, to make sure that others do not have to suffer the same discrimination. Similar to the legislation she authored, Patsy Mink, the person, was a true groundbreaker in her own right. She served Hawaii and our nation as the first woman of color and the first Asian American woman elected into Congress. Impressively, she was the first Asian American to seek the presidential nomination for the Democratic Party. While Title IX is responsible for many advancements for women in higher education, we know that it is still more work to be done for women at every level, including in our high schools. While serving in the Hawaii State Senate, I was proud to vote for Hawaii's Gender Equity and Athletics Law, which applies Title IX in public high schools, and also to serve on the commission it created. My commitment has not waned, and I recently co-sponsored the High School Data Transparency Act, which is meant to help ensure equality for high school athletics. This fundamental bill would require schools to report critical data on funding and participation in boys and girls athletic programs, allowing school districts to better identify and rectify discriminatory disparities. Mr. Speaker, I urge you to bring this crucial bill to the floor. The High School Data Transparency Act is an obvious partner to Title IX, extending the spirit of the same law. We have an obligation to ensure that young women receive the same opportunities as their male counterparts at every level. I am committed to continuing the example set by my predecessor, Congresswoman Mink, and find inspiration in her words. And listen to these words. It is easy enough to vote right, but it is more often and more important to be ahead of the majority, and this means being willing to cut the first furrow in the ground and stand alone for a while if necessary. In closing, I would like to share a meeting I just had yesterday with Kylie Higuchi, an 8th grader from my alma mater, St. Andrews Prairie. Accompanied by her proud grandmother, she is here for the National History Day. Her entry is a website on Title IX. Kylie said a question asked was, is Title IX still necessary? Her answer is a resounding yes. I believe Patsy would be proud of Kylie, and that 42 years later, a young girl is continuing to educate and share Title IX with others. Mr. Chairman, I encourage you to join me in continuing the work of this committed visionary and powerful voice for equality. Please bring the bill to the floor.